Have you ever wondered where the gold in your jewelry comes from and why the richest continent in terms of minerals remains impoverished? This is the paradox that we find ourselves in when we talk about Africa, a continent that boasts an estimated 30% of the world's mineral reserves, including a significant portion of its gold. Yet, despite this wealth, many African countries are among the poorest in the world. It's a paradox that is as perplexing as it is tragic. Gold, a symbol of wealth and prosperity for centuries, is abundant in Africa. From the ancient gold mines of Mali to the rich veins of South Africa, the continent has been a major player in the global gold industry for a long time. Yet the people who live atop these gold-rich lands often live in poverty, their lives a stark contrast to the shiny allure of the precious metal they help extract. The story of gold mining in Africa is a complex one, filled with a multitude of players, from small-scale artisan miners who painstakingly extract gold using rudimentary tools, to large multinational mining corporations that utilize sophisticated technology to unearth massive amounts of gold. Yet, despite their differences in scale and methods, both artisanal and large-scale miners are integral to the continent's gold industry. But why is it that despite this abundance of gold, Africa remains economically impoverished? Why does the wealth generated from these mines not trickle down to the people who live there? Is it the consequence of internal mismanagement, corruption, or external influences? These questions and many more are what we will be exploring in this video. We will take a comprehensive look at the intricacies of gold mining in Africa, both artisan and large scale. We will investigate the factors that contribute to the economic disparity and discuss potential solutions to bridge this gap. In the next few minutes, we will delve into the intricacies of gold mining in Africa, both artisan and large scale, and explore potential solutions to this paradox. To understand the gold industry in Africa, one must first grasp the difference between artisan and big-scale mining. Let's start with artisan mining. This form of mining is typically small-scale, often carried out by individuals, families, or small groups. Imagine a picture of hardworking men and women, their faces streaked with dust and sweat, hands gripping rudimentary tools as they dig into the earth. The labor force in artisan mining is largely local, providing a source of income for people in some of Africa's most remote, impoverished regions. However, the impact of artisan mining on local communities is complex. On the one hand, it can provide much-needed jobs, ensuring food on the table for countless families. On the other hand, the methods used are often dangerous and environmentally destructive. Cave-ins and other accidents are common, while the use of mercury in gold extraction can poison both miners and the surrounding ecosystem. Now, let's contrast this with big-scale mining. This form of mining involves large, often multinational companies, using heavy machinery and sophisticated technology to extract gold on an industrial scale. The labor force here is more diverse, with local workers often joined by specialists from around the world. The economic implications of big-scale mining are significant. These operations can generate vast amounts of wealth, but the question is, who benefits? Often, it's the foreign companies and their shareholders who take the lion's share, while the host countries see only a fraction of the profits. Moreover, big-scale mining can displace local communities, disrupt ecosystems, and leave lasting environmental damage. Despite these challenges, big-scale mining can also bring benefits. It can create jobs, build infrastructure, and contribute to national economies. However, for these benefits to be realized, it's essential that mining operations are carried out responsibly with fair distribution of profits and a commitment to environmental sustainability. As we can see, the scales and impacts of these two types of mining are vastly different. Artisan mining, with its small scale and local labor force, can bring both benefits and challenges to local communities. Big-scale mining, with its industrial scale and diverse labor force, can generate vast wealth, but also poses significant economic and environmental challenges. Yet, both play significant roles in the African gold industry. They represent different ends of the spectrum, from the individual miner toiling in the sun to the multinational company extracting gold with state-of-the-art machinery. Understanding these differences is key to understanding the gold industry in Africa and to finding ways to ensure that this precious resource benefits those who need it most. As we can see, the scales and impacts of these two types of mining are vastly different, but both play significant roles in the African gold industry. While gold mining brings significant income, it also carries hidden costs. Often, these costs go unseen, blending into the broader narrative of economic growth and development. But today, we're going to shine a light on these hidden costs, from the environmental toll to the social implications and economic exploitation. Let's start with the environmental costs. Both artisan and large-scale mining operations have a profound impact on our planet. Mining activities, as you might imagine, aren't exactly gentle on the earth. They often lead to deforestation and habitat destruction. When we strip the earth of its green cover in pursuit of gold, we're also disturbing the delicate balance of ecosystems, affecting wildlife and even contributing to climate change. But the damage doesn't stop there. The process of gold mining also involves the use of toxic chemicals like mercury and cyanide, which end up in our water sources, poisoning both aquatic life and eventually us, humans. Next, let's talk about the social costs. In many mining communities, workers face unsafe and inhumane conditions. In artisanal mining, often performed by locals, including children, safety measures are almost non-existent. Cave-ins, landslides, and other mining accidents claim numerous lives every year. And even when accidents don't occur, the long-term health implications for miners are grim. Prolonged exposure to dust and chemicals can lead to serious health conditions like lung diseases and mercury poisoning. The economic exploitation in the mining sector is another hidden cost that cannot be overlooked. While gold mining generates substantial revenue, a significant portion of this wealth does not trickle down to the workers or the local communities. The lion's share often goes to multinational corporations and local elites, leaving the miners and their families in a cycle of poverty. The promise of gold brings a glimmer of hope for a better life, but the reality can be a life of hardship and exploitation. The true cost of gold mining is not just the price tag on a shiny piece of jewelry. It's also the devastated landscapes, the endangered wildlife, the polluted waterways, the exploited miners, and the impoverished communities. It's the child laborers risking their lives in hazardous conditions, and the families struggling to make ends meet despite living on land rich with gold. These costs are rarely factored into the market price of gold, making it a hidden burden that society bears. As we continue to demand gold for various uses, it's important to understand these hidden costs and consider them in our consumption choices. The allure of gold is undeniable, but so are the consequences of its extraction. These costs often go unnoticed, yet they are a crucial part of the gold mining story. As we look at the shiny gold ring on our finger or the gold bars in a vault, let's not forget the real price we pay for this precious metal. It's time we started seeing beyond the glitter and understanding the true cost of gold. Despite being rich in gold, Africa doesn't seem to reap the benefits. But why is this the case? Gold is a resource that should be a source of wealth for Africa, yet the continent often sees little gain from this precious metal. The reasons for this are multifaceted and complex, revolving around issues of political corruption, external influence, and infrastructure insufficiencies. Let's first address the elephant in the room: corruption. Unfortunately, it's not uncommon to find instances where the wealth from gold mining ends up in the pockets of a select few, often politicians and high-ranking officials. These individuals exploit their positions of power, diverting profits away from the public and into their own coffers. This leaves the majority of the population, especially those in mining communities, in a continuous cycle of poverty despite the riches under their feet. Next, let's consider the role of external influence. It's no secret that multinational corporations and foreign governments wield substantial power over the mining industry. These entities often dictate the terms of trade, sometimes exploiting local vulnerabilities to secure favorable deals. This can result in the undervaluation of Africa's gold, with the continent receiving only a fraction of the potential profits. Lastly, there's the issue of infrastructure, or more accurately, the lack thereof. Infrastructure is vital for the processing and distribution of gold, but many African countries lack the necessary facilities and systems. This forces them to export the raw material, losing out on the added value that comes with processing. Moreover, poor infrastructure also affects the living conditions of those in mining communities. Without adequate roads, hospitals, and schools, these communities continue to suffer, despite the wealth being extracted from their land. These factors, corruption, external influence, and infrastructure, create a complex web of challenges that hinder Africa's ability to profit from its gold. It's a paradox of plenty, where the abundance of a resource becomes a curse rather than a blessing. But understanding these issues is the first step towards finding solutions, towards a future where Africa can truly benefit from its golden wealth. External influence plays a significant role in Africa's gold industry. But how does it work? Let's start by looking at Europe, China, America, and Russia, the primary global powers that have a hand in the African gold industry. These nations, often through multinational corporations, have a significant influence on the decision-making of African leaders in the gold industry. How does this happen? One of the ways is through economic leverage. For example, these nations often provide financial aid, loans, and investments to African countries. In return, they get a say in the policies and operations of the gold industry, shaping it to their advantage. Another way is through the power dynamics at play. These global powers have a vast array of resources and advanced technology at their disposal, which most African nations lack. This imbalance of power allows them to dictate terms and conditions that often favor their own interests. Moreover, these external influences also come in the form of bilateral or multilateral agreements. These agreements often involve clauses that give these foreign powers undue advantages, such as unrestricted access to mining sites or favorable tax conditions. The economic implications of this external influence are profound. While these nations reap vast profits from Africa's gold, the countries themselves are often left with environmental degradation, social unrest, and economic instability. This situation is further compounded by the fact that the wealth generated from these mining activities rarely trickles down to the local communities. Furthermore, this influence extends beyond the economic sphere. It also impacts political decisions, often undermining the sovereignty of African nations and their ability to make autonomous decisions about their own resources. In essence, this external influence creates a cycle where Africa's inability to fully control its gold industry is perpetuated. It's a complex issue, and one that needs to be addressed if Africa is to take full control of its resources and benefit from its own wealth. This external influence perpetuates Africa's inability to fully control its gold industry. Despite these challenges, is there still hope for Africa to gain control over its gold resources? The answer is unequivocally yes. There are several strategic avenues Africa can explore to gain more control over its gold industry. It may not be an easy journey, but the potential rewards are immense. First, improving infrastructure is key. If Africa can create an environment where gold can be mined and processed efficiently and sustainably, it will be more attractive for local investment. This means developing better transportation systems, refining facilities, and mining equipment. It also implies investing in education and training so that the workforce has the necessary skills to support a modern gold industry. Second, combating corruption is crucial. Corruption not only drains resources that could be used for development, but it also discourages both local and foreign investment. It's imperative to foster a culture of transparency and accountability, where corrupt practices are not tolerated. This involves strengthening institutions, enforcing laws, and promoting good governance. Third, Africa must negotiate more equitable international deals. For too long, Africa has been on the losing end of agreements that favor foreign interests at the expense of its own people. A more balanced approach is needed, one that ensures Africa gets a fair share of the profits from its gold. This may mean tough negotiations and even turning down deals that don't meet these standards. Moreover, Africa should leverage its position as a major gold producer to its advantage. It could, for instance, set up a Pan-African gold trading platform, which could help to dictate the terms of the international gold trade. It's important to note that these solutions are not mutually exclusive, but rather, they need to be pursued in tandem. The challenges are undoubtedly substantial, but so too are the opportunities. While the road may be long and fraught with challenges, there is indeed hope for Africa to reclaim its gold wealth. Africa is not just rich in gold, it's rich in talent, creativity, and determination. With the right strategies in place, there's every reason to believe that Africa can transform its gold industry for the better. So we've explored the gold paradox in Africa, but what are the key takeaways? Firstly, we've delved into the stark differences between artisan and large-scale mining. While artisan mining is labor-intensive and often carried out under hazardous conditions, it offers a lifeline to many impoverished communities. Conversely, large-scale mining brings in more revenue, but often involves displacement of local communities and environmental degradation. We've also touched on the hidden costs of mining, which include not only environmental damage, but also social and health impacts on mining communities. We've shed light on the external influence from global powers like Europe, China, America, and Russia. Their influence in decision-making often leads to Africa not reaping the full benefits of its gold resources. However, we've also discussed the potential for Africa to gain control over its gold resources. With good governance, strong institutions, and international support, this is certainly possible. The story of gold in Africa is complex, but with understanding and concerted effort, it's a story that can change for the better.